The lyricist for the next number has asked that I give a brief briefing to those of you in the audience who may not know how this comes about. There is no headline for this one. The background you should know about appears in the faculty minutes of April 7th last. And it's the chairman of the library committee, Professor Stobuck, reporting. And he, on the behalf of his committee, recommends the new system of library and building security be established. And between the hours of 2:30 p.m. and library closing time on class days, and during all hours the library is open on other days, 2 new security steps be taken. Number 1, the descending building elevators should be set so that persons operating them can't go below the 2nd floor without a key, and the newly installed magnetic locks on the east and west tower stairway gates should be turned on, thus immobilizing the gates. Professor Meisenholder announced that he would vote for that only if everybody understood that it was a recommendation. It passed. Now, what that really means is, if you have a friend on the faculty or a spouse on the faculty, and this person doesn't show up when this person is supposed to, the chances are 9 to 10 that this person is trapped out there on that stairway someplace. And you've heard of a man without a country? This will be...
Madam Librarian, what can I do, my dear, to flee from here? I want to badly, badly, Madam Librarian, Marian, if I'm stuck and I fail in my real occupation, which is preaching at faculty meetings, who will save us from all the barbarians? Madam Librarian, what can I do, my dear, to make it clear? I'm not a permanent resident, Madam Librarian, Marian. I knew he would. Ready? What can I do, my dear, to make it clear?
I do right this time.
I'm not a permanent resident, Madam Librarian, Marian. It's appalling,
All this boring gray concrete around me with all its industrial flavor,
when I really prefer things like librarian. Madam Librarian. Now in the old days, a man could wander. In the old days, and a fella could read where he wanted and wander around fully free, and a prisoner never would be. But when I browse in here, it's very clear I'll never again see daylight, Madam Librarian. Marian is a long-lost cause, and it may be my fate that the civilized world steals books at incredible rates. So they must all be locked behind impregnable gates by Marian. Madam Librarian. man could wander in the old days. And a fella could read where he wanted and wander around fully free, and a prisoner never would be. But when I browse in here, it's fairly clear I'll never again see daylight, Madam Librarian. Marian, it's a long lost cause, and it may be my fate that the civilized world steals books at incredible rates. So they must all be locked behind impregnable gates by Marian. Madam Librarian. Oh, baby,
Well, Marian, our song is ended, but the melody lingers on. And all good things except friendship, admiration, love come to an end. Those don't. And this part of the program has been labeled presentation, but you already have it. Our love and our just continuing pleasure at your company. But we do have just a modest identification of that. And if you'll come forward, please.
I think there isn't anyone here as articulate as you all are that could say anything in this situation that wouldn't be an anticlimax. It's been a wonderful evening, and I'd like to suggest that we do this every week. Bob, no wonder you've been so distant lately. He's been working very hard. It's nice to be here with all of the people that are my very best friends and to be so royally entertained. Thank you all very much. And thank you for this, whatever it is. There's one more class. There is this year's class. And these persons are on their field work now. One of them keeps insisting that I don't have the courage to introduce them because I can't remember their names. They are Sri Mamuji from the University of Indonesia, who's Sri, where are you? There's Sri right there. She's doing her field work at the Law Library of Congress. And then there are three men, and I'll introduce them alphabetically, as a librarian should. Scott Burson, who's from the University of Chicago and is doing his field work with George Grossman, and Scott's over there someplace. Mike Shirazi, who's the graduate of Gonzaga University and doing his field work at Columbia, and there's Mike. And this is the one that really challenges me. This is Charles Wallamu. Wallamu, but I put the accent in the wrong place. There's Charles. He's from the University of Zambia, and he is doing his field work at the Law Library of Congress. And they're going to graduate at the end of the summer, and I hope you will all make them welcome into the Alumni Association. Then can I introduce somebody else?
Sure, everybody.
Over yonder. First, I'd like to say that all of those distinguished people who were introduced, most of them actually are here for a much more important reason than just because they're important. And that is that most of them have been field work hosts in the past. Or if they haven't been field work hosts, they've given their undying promise to be fieldwork host someday.
That's Julius.
Julius is awfully busy.
Promise they'll stand.
I'm very grateful to Columbia this year. Francis is president. Francis is retiring. Hoover is going to Africa next week. Harry Bittner is up there holding the place together, and they took Mike, who needed to be in New York. Now, there are some others out there. One that's very, very important to all of the fieldwork students, the one who, at least all of those who've been here since she has, and that's Vicki, who was actually, who's taking care of all of them. There's Vicki Moore. Some of you really wouldn't have got through without Vicki, as you know. But if I went off to Guam or any place like that, Vicki knew ahead of time, and I don't believe that story about you ran all the way over the Out yonder, next to the pillar, is a fellow who is an ex-editor of the Washington Law Review, who could do anything. There are some people that can't fix a broken mimeograph machine, for example. This fellow could do that, or he could program a computer or edit the law review. And he and I went through the student unrest together. At one time when tear gas, the police were on campus and they had tear gas with them, and so we cleared the law school, and he and I stayed there holding the fort against foreign invaders. He was known by the faculty as the Associate Dean. And as Loyal Snyder, who's a Washington lawyer, I wish you would welcome Loyal. I mean, a Washington, D.C. lawyer. And of course, Betty Wilkins. Betty's worked very hard on everything that's gone on for the last 10 years at least, and maybe 12. I can't remember how long she's been there, but you all know Betty. She's a University of Washington graduate. That's just that she's a Beardsley vintage. She was a trailblazer, got the program going. Dan, thank you very much for all of this.
We aren't through yet.
Pat, you mean I can't thank them now?
Not
Just
well,
get
a little
missing?
late, a little late.
There's some other people I want to introduce, and they have to do with where Marian is going shortly, and that is to California. And one of them is, of course, Professor Mortimer Schwartz of the University of California, Davis, an old buddy of Marian's court. And then I'd like to introduce two of Marian's future colleagues at Hastings. First is Gail Fleming, our associate law librarian, and Linda Weir, our excellent reference librarian. Gail brought me the glad tidings at the Life Members Cocktail Party that the governor, Governor Brown, had signed the bill that provides for Marian's position at Hastings, and we are indeed grateful. And I might say that we're also grateful to Jim White for putting the heat on the Hastings administration. The governor also signed into law an extraordinary augmentation of the budget of $372,000 above our ordinary budget, so that's going to give us a pretty good book budget for Marian to play with when she gets there. But to get back to the reason that we are here, Marian, I think it's quite apparent tonight that the love and devotion in which your students hold you is more than apparent. And as a token of their appreciation, each of them has written you a letter, which is beautifully bound in this book, which tells the value of the experience that they had under your program. And I'd like to give it to you now.
I should have something learned to say to you. It's been a wonderful evening, and you know that there isn't any greater experience than being with the people that you love the most. I thank you all very much. I won't be writing you about these letters for a while because it's not the kind of thing you can read on a plane. So it'll take me a while, but you'll hear from me, and thank you very much for coming.
I previously announced that this would be a bifurcated operation, and it still may be if you want to carry on the celebration. What happened was that we had rented a piano, and it wasn't